Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. You ready to explore some really cool ideas today?
Absolutely, I'm excited for this one.
We're going to be diving into Acres of Diamonds by Russell Conwell. Have you ever heard of it?
Oh yeah, it's a classic, isn't it? A real hidden gem, pun intended.
Right. So this book basically flips the script on how we think about success. It's all about recognizing the opportunities right in front of us, instead of chasing some far-off dream.
It really challenges that whole idea that success is somewhere out there waiting to be discovered.
And Conwell illustrates this point with a story that's both captivating and kind of heartbreaking. It's about a guy named Ali Hafed, a wealthy Persian farmer who had it all: land, orchards, a beautiful home, you name it.
But Ali Hafed gets this idea in his head that true wealth lies in finding diamonds.
Yeah, he becomes obsessed with it. He sells off everything he owns to go on this quest for diamonds. He travels to distant lands, endures all sorts of hardships.
And sadly, he never finds what he's looking for. He dies penniless and heartbroken, a shadow of his former self.
Now here's the kicker. The new owner of Ali Hafed's farm discovers an abundance of diamonds right there on the property. Talk about irony.
It's almost too perfect, right? It makes you wonder how many of us are out there searching for something that's already within our grasp.
It's like we're all running around with blinders on, missing the potential that's right under our noses. So what do you think? Is this just a story, or is there a deeper lesson here?
Oh, I think it's definitely more than just a story. It's a powerful metaphor for how we approach life, our careers, even our relationships. Are we so focused on what we lack that we fail to appreciate what we already have?
Exactly. Conwell drives this point home with another anecdote, this time about a guy in California back in the 1800s during the gold rush. This guy sells his ranch to join the hordes of people searching for gold elsewhere.
And you can probably guess what happens next, right?
Yeah, a massive gold mine is discovered on his former property. He literally walked away from a fortune because he was blinded by the allure of striking it rich somewhere else.
It's a classic case of the grass is always greener on the other side.
And I think we can all relate to that feeling sometimes, right? We're always looking for that next big thing, that quick fix, that magic bullet. But maybe, just maybe, Conwell is urging us to pause, to look around and really appreciate the opportunities that already exist in our lives.
It's not about settling, though. Conwell emphasizes the importance of understanding what people need and finding ways to meet those needs. He tells this interesting story about a general store owner who keeps getting asked for jackknife.
Seems simple enough, right? But this guy is so stuck in his ways, so focused on what he already sells, that he completely misses the boat. He doesn't even bother stocking jackknives.
He's so fixated on his current inventory that he fails to recognize a clear demand right in front of him. Talk about a missed business opportunity.
And that's where observation and adaptability come in, right?
Absolutely. Conwell is highlighting the importance of being aware of our surroundings, being open to new ideas, and being willing to adapt to changing circumstances. Whether it's in business or in life, recognizing and responding to needs can be a key ingredient for success.
I love that. And it's interesting because Conwell isn't just talking about material wealth. He challenges the notion that success is all about inheritance and privilege.
He argues that sometimes inherited wealth can actually hinder personal growth and real-world experience. It's like being handed a shortcut without having to put in the work or face the challenges that shape character and resilience.
So instead of focusing on what we're given, he encourages us to develop our skills, cultivate our talents, and rely on our own ingenuity.
He emphasizes the importance of hard work, self-reliance, and determination. Those are the true building blocks of lasting success, in his view.
And he shares this amazing story about John Jacob Astor, a self-made millionaire who built his fortune from scratch. One of his most successful ventures was in the millinery business, those fancy hats ladies wore back in the day.
What's fascinating is how Astor approached this business. He didn't just assume he knew what women wanted. He actually took the time to observe their preferences. He'd sit in the park, study the bonnets women wore, pay attention to the details.
So instead of relying on luck or privilege, Astor's success came from understanding his customers and tailoring his offerings to meet their specific needs.
It's a brilliant example of how observation, coupled with a willingness to adapt, can lead to success.
It makes you wonder, is it all about being in the right place in the right time, or is there more to it?
I think Conwell would argue that opportunity often favors the prepared mind, the one that's actively engaged, observing, and ready to seize the moment. And, Conwell emphasizes that even seemingly small ideas can have a huge impact. Like, he tells this story about a woman who invented the safety pin.
A safety pin. Yeah, it might not seem like a big deal, but think about it. She saw a problem, a need, and came up with a simple yet brilliant solution.
And get this, her husband actually ridiculed her for the idea.
Wow. Really?
Yep, but she didn't let that stop her. She persevered and created something that's still used by millions of people every day. It's a testament to the power of believing in your ideas even when others don't.
That's so inspiring. It makes you realize that sometimes those everyday problems, those little annoyances, can actually spark some pretty amazing innovations.
Exactly. And Conwell was really passionate about this idea of recognizing potential even in unexpected places. Like he was super dedicated to his city, Philadelphia.
Right? I remember reading about that. He noticed the tendency for people to focus on the city's shortcomings instead of its strengths.
Yeah, he felt like people were constantly talking down Philadelphia, overlooking all the amazing things it had to offer. And, I think we can all fall into that trap sometimes, focusing on the negative instead of the positive.
Absolutely. It's like we get stuck in this cycle of complaining and negativity, and it blinds us to the opportunities that are right there in front of us.
And Conwell really challenges this mindset. He urges people to embrace their city's potential, to celebrate its accomplishments, to inspire others to see its possibilities.
And this idea extends beyond just a city, right? It's about recognizing the potential in our communities, in our schools, and ourselves.
Exactly. It's about shifting our perspective and focusing on what we can build, what we can create, instead of dwelling on what's wrong.
Now, when it comes to success and greatness, Conwell kind of throws a curveball. He challenges that whole traditional idea that greatness is achieved through high-ranking positions or heroic acts.
He tells this funny story about a young man who dreams of becoming a war hero, leading troops into battle, returning home with all these medals and accolades.
The whole 9 yards.
Exactly. But Conwell uses this anecdote to illustrate a really important point. True greatness, he argues, isn't defined by titles or positions or external validation.
So it's not about the recognition.
Not necessarily. It's about the impact we have on the world around us, regardless of our circumstances. It's about utilizing our talents and resources to make a positive difference in the lives of others.
That's a powerful message. So it's not about seeking fame or fortune, but about making a genuine contribution.
Right? It's about living a life of service, a life of purpose. And to illustrate this point, Conwell shares a really moving story from his own experience during the Civil War. He talks about this young soldier named John Ring, who served as his aide.
I think I remember reading about this. What happened?
Well, during a Confederate attack, Conwell and his troops were forced to retreat. And in the chaos of the battle, Ring bravely dashed back to Conwell's tent to retrieve something incredibly valuable.
Wow. So what was it? Money, important documents.
Nope. It was Conwell's ceremonial sword. This young man risked his life for a sword, an object that held symbolic value but no real practical use in that moment.
That's incredible. It speaks volumes about his loyalty and his sense of duty.
Absolutely. And sadly, Ring was severely injured while escaping across a burning bridge. He eventually succumbed to his wounds, but his selfless sacrifice left a profound impact on Conwell.
It must have been heartbreaking, but also incredibly inspiring.
Exactly. It made Conwell realize that true greatness often lies not in grand gestures, but in the everyday choices we make to serve others, in the small acts of kindness, courage, and selflessness that we offer to the world.
And to further emphasize this idea of service, Conwell talks about his encounter with President Abraham Lincoln. Now, at this point, Lincoln is a figure revered by many, a symbol of leadership and strength.
Right. He's practically an icon.
Exactly. And Conwell himself was initially starstruck by the meeting. But what he observed in Lincoln was something unexpected, a surprising humility and approachability.
So it wasn't all pomp and circumstance.
Not at all. Conwell realized that Lincoln wasn't concerned with power or prestige. He genuinely wanted to help others. He was driven by a deep sense of service.
That's really interesting. It challenges that whole notion of what it means to be a leader.
Right. It suggests that true leadership is about serving with humility, with compassion, with a genuine desire to make a difference. It's amazing how Lincoln's leadership style really resonated with Conwell's own beliefs about service and making a difference.
And what's really inspiring is that Conwell didn't just talk the talk, he actually walked the walk. He had this incredible journey from struggling to find his purpose as a young man to becoming a lawyer, a soldier, an author, a minister, and eventually he founded a university and 2 hospitals.
Wow, that's quite a resume.
It really is. And what I find fascinating is that he didn't have some grand master plan from the start. It was more about recognizing opportunities as they came along and being willing to step outside his comfort zone.
He was always learning and evolving.
Exactly. And he even shared a story about how his public speaking career began, not in some fancy auditorium, but at small gatherings like picnics and even funerals.
Funerals, that's interesting.
I know, right? And he also spoke at cattle shows. It just goes to show that he was willing to start small and build his way up.
He was passionate about sharing his message with anyone who would listen.
And eventually, that message evolved into one of the most famous lectures of all time, Acres of Diamonds.
It's incredible to think about his journey and how he went from speaking at these small, informal events to delivering a lecture that resonated with millions of people.
It's a testament to his dedication and his belief in the power of ideas to inspire and uplift others.
And speaking of uplifting others, let's talk about Conwell's passion for education. He firmly believed that everyone deserved access to learning regardless of their background.
Absolutely. And that's what led him to establish Temple University. It was designed to provide educational opportunities specifically for working class individuals.
And what's really cool about Temple is that it wasn't just focused on traditional academics. Conwell understood the importance of practical skills and vocational training as well.
Yeah, they offered courses in everything from law and medicine to dressmaking and millinery. He really wanted to create a place where people could develop their talents and pursue their passions no matter what those passions were.
It's clear that Conwell was a true visionary, always looking for ways to empower others and create opportunities for growth and advancement.
His legacy lives on not only through Temple University, but also through the countless lives he touched with his message of hope, opportunity, and the importance of recognizing the potential that exists within each of us.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Acres of Diamonds, I keep coming back to that central question that Conwell poses. What acres of diamonds are we overlooking in our own lives?
Are we so focused on chasing those distant dreams that we fail to appreciate the opportunities and resources right in front of us? Are we truly tapping into our unique talents and abilities?
It's a powerful question that challenges us to really examine our lives and our perspectives.
And maybe, just maybe, Conwell suggests those acres of diamonds we seek are closer than we think.
Absolutely. So let's all take a moment to reflect on that question and consider what steps we can take to cultivate our own acres of diamonds.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the inspiring world of Russell H. Conwell. We hope you found it as thought-provoking as we did.
It's been a pleasure exploring these ideas with you.